Welcome everybody. This is a video about the perimeter and area of two-dimensional shapes. I am your magical host, Mr. Shirley, the Bearded Wonder. Now I would like you to make some notes as you're going through this video, but I've also included a formula sheet in Google Classroom with the link to this video. So please don't feel like you need to draw every diagram and write down every formula. I would like you to do a couple of examples, especially for the trapezoid, which tends to give students no end of trouble. Same with the circles, okay? So please write down those examples, but otherwise you can avoid writing some of the things that are already on that formula sheet. Okay, with your note, please put title and date on there. If you do have your math notebooks at home, which I'm pretty sure I asked you to take home with you, write it in there. If not, just put it on a lined sheet of paper and hang on to it, okay? You don't need to write the learning goal, just to consider perimeter and area of two-dimensional shapes. I wonder if anyone actually read all the way to the end before I said it. Let me know in the meeting. Okay, on we go. So finding perimeter, very straightforward. All you're doing is just adding up the outside edges of the shape. So it's easy to find the perimeter of any shape that has straight lines on the outside edges. Okay, if it's all weirdly curved, then you're sort of out of luck. But it's pretty easy when the outside edges are all, fairly easy to determine. Okay, so the octagon here, so it's 3 meters all the way around. If you add that up 8 times, you end up with 24 meters. As we go through these, because we are in our measurement unit now, guess I should have said that at the start, please make sure to include some units on there, okay? I want to see units. Now, this next shape, again, just adding up all the sides. So 5 plus 4 plus 10 plus 8 is 27. I suggest you go in some kind of order. Don't just randomly hop around and take whatever sides you want at any time, because often you'll miss one. Okay, and the perimeter of the triangle, so 12 plus 5 plus 9 is 26. The formula sheet that I included does include sometimes some formulas for perimeter, but usually if you just remember that you're adding up all the outside edges, you don't really need a formula for that. Okay, now the second part here, so the area of some 2D shapes, and this should mostly be review for you because we did cover this last year, but since we're moving on to 3-dimensional shapes and their areas, their surface areas rather, and volumes a little bit are very dependent on 2-dimensional shapes, it's really important that we review them. Okay, so the area of a rectangle, hopefully you know what these shapes are. I did include titles though, just in case. So area equals length times width, which is just 10 times 5, which equals 50 meters squared. If you do notice that I make a mistake in the video, please let me know, kindly and constructively, because it does occasionally happen. Not that it's ever happened before. Okay. So meters squared, remember area should have a squared in there. So parallelogram, just base times height. Okay, so if we do base times height, just 12 times 8 is 96 centimeters squared. All right, I'm trying to go through these fairly quickly, but again, it's a video. Feel free to go back, especially if you just can't get enough of my beautiful voice. Now, triangle is 1/2 times base times height. Remember, if you see numbers and letters beside each other like that, it means multiply them. So it's just 1/2 times 4 times 5. You don't have to put brackets there. I like to because it keeps things a little more straightforward and prevents you from accidentally turning 4 times 5 into just 45 because you thought they went beside each other. Okay, so 1/2 times 4 times 5 equals 10 centimeters squared. Okay, now our friend the trapezoid, which can be a little tricky, is A plus B, so that's top plus bottom, times the height, all divided by 2. Okay, and you can do this in a slightly different order if you want. You could do top plus bottom, and then divide that by 2, and then multiply it by the height. It really doesn't matter. You will get the same answer either way. So we do top plus bottom, so 6 plus 10. And then multiply that by the height, okay? For the trapezoid, for area anyways, we don't care what these two sides, how long these two sides are. We don't need to know that. If we were finding perimeter, we would need to know that. Now, circles we'll talk about just a little bit here. So circumference is a fancy word for the perimeter of a circle. Just means around the outside. Okay, and just remember some of the definitions related to a circle. So the diameter of a circle is all the way across through the center. Okay, and the radius is just halfway across. Okay, so the diameter, because it's all the way across, is equal to 2 times the radius. So 2 of the radius, radii, any doesn't matter. 2 of the radius will go all the way across the circle. Okay, so to find circumference, you do pi times diameter or pi times 2 radius. Okay, because again, diameter and 2 radius equal the same thing. Now, since you're at home, you can likely do this. You usually will have a pi button on your computer's calculator, or if you have your phone's scientific calculator, often if you turn it sideways, you get a scientific thing. So use that pi button if you have it. If you really can't figure out how to get that in there, or you're just feeling especially lazy, hopefully that doesn't happen, you can use 3.14, and that will get you close enough for our purposes. Okay, if you become an engineer someday, use the pi button. Okay, yeah, but for our purposes in grade 7 math, 3.14 will work. So find the circumference of a circle with a diameter of 5 centimeters. Please pause it, give it a try. Okay, I'll assume you did and you aced it, but let's just see. So you do pi times 5, so you should end up with roughly 15.7 centimeters. Okay, and then the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. Okay, so that r definitely is the radius. There's not a diameter, excuse me, there's not a diameter equivalent for this one. Okay, so the radius over here is 5 centimeters. Just please remember that once you put that in there, to use order of operations, so you need to do 5 to the exponent 2 first. Don't do pi times 5 and then square the whole thing. Okay, so you do 5 squared, so that's pi times 25, which equals about 78.5 centimeters squared. Okay, that's the end of our video. I hope you remember some of these from previous years, but again, if you need to refresh yourself by just checking that formula sheet, that's all good. That's why I included it. Please try out the questions I gave you in Google Classroom with this, and ask any questions by email or during our Zoom meeting or during the office hours that I have. Thank you very much for watching, and have a super duper day.